Well, hello everybody, this is Brother Todd with your Victory Minute, and I hope you boys and girls out there all having a great day. I want to talk to you about something I've been emphasizing a lot here in the church lately, and it will touch every area of your life where you have a connection to God or to anyone else. And it doesn't matter if it's spiritual things, if it's secular things, if it's family things, emotional things, you name it. This principle applies. We've been talking a lot about, of course, reaching more, doing more, giving more. We talk about loving more. And in the reality we're talking about that is in fellowship. Now, relationships get established, and they either are or they're not. You're a child of God or you're not, right? You're in a marriage or you're not. You're related to somebody. They're your brother, your sister by blood, right? Or they're not, right? It's just, there's one or the other, and that's relationship. Now, relationships can be good relationships or bad ones, but they're still there. I can be a good child of God or a poor child of God. I can be a good husband or a poor one, but the relationship's there. It's the fellowship that really comes into question, where we really find that real balance and meaning and blessing and happiness and those kinds of things. So I know I tried not to make these things so long for you guys. I want you to think about something that can revolutionize your fellowship, whether it's with God, with other people, in your business, on the team you play sports on, in your family, in your friendships, you name it, okay? And it is the principle of having a common purpose, a common purpose. Let's say use mine and Misty's marriage for an example. If our real purpose is to be as close to God as we can be, if God's up here, so to speak, and if I'm over here and Misty's over here, this is where we start from. But the closer we get to God, you see what's happening with my hands, the closer we get to each other. Okay, now you know that's the illustration of a pyramid, right? Doesn't matter how far apart we start, you and I in our friendship, if we move closer to a common purpose. Now, ideally, it's something good, right? It should be something good. It's, in that case, what we're talking about, it's something spiritual. It's with the Lord, okay? And the closer we get, the more the things we want to do, the things we both consider important, they become the same thing. This is what's behind the fellowship with God in us. Now, God starts in the right position, and He draws us to Him. And the closer we get to Him and the more we think like Him, the better our fellowship with God is. And the easier we live life, and it's easier not to sin and all those kinds of things because of our proximity to the Lord. Well, the same thing is true in relationships. And it's true of the spiritual reality of relationships, but it's also true of the secular realities. And you take, even like I said earlier, the team that you play on. If your common goal is we're going to win a championship, not this, I'm going to get my stats and you're going to get your stats. But if that's our common goal, then we work towards it. And sacrifices are made that move us towards that common goal. And the closer we get to achieving the common goal, the closer we get to one another. And so it fosters in a marriage. Husband and wife can be in two different places, right? But what happens the closer we get to God, right? The closer we get to the things of God, the closer we get to one another. Business feels scattered, can't get nothing done. What's your common purpose? And get to working towards that purpose, whether it's business, whether it's a team, whether it's an organization. Organizations tend to get real scattered. My God, churches get so scattered. You take 100 people, go to church together, and they've all got all these competing agendas. What's going on? We're not unifying around our common purpose, which is, what is the Lord said to be doing? Who is the Lord? What's He done? What's He doing? Right? Getting around the gospel, right? Who Jesus is, what Jesus has done, what Jesus is doing, and what He's going to do. And as we move towards that, then unity becomes a very, very simple thing. Now, a house divided against itself can't stand, the Master said. And it is an old reality in human history that if you can divide a people, then you can. I see, got two heifers back there pushing on each other. That if you can divide a people, then you can defeat a people. But if you bring them together, you got problems, right? Now, I don't want to get all political on you right now, but everybody's wondering, what's China going to do, with the U.S. and all that. Guys, China, they'll just keep feeding us And they'll just keep working with us as long as we'll divide, because if we'll divide, we'll be conquered. If they learned anything, they learned in the 40s that Japan, for some reason, decided they were going to poke a bear, right? America was way off to the side. America was an isolationist country, didn't want anything to do with another world war, didn't want to have anything to do in Europe, didn't want to have anything to do in Asia, right? And then what you had the greatest tactical victory and the greatest strategic defeat in the history of nations in the world. Japan attacks Pearl Harbor, a great tactical victory, but what happened? You took a bunch of people that weren't committed to a common purpose, and you unleashed the greatest industrial power that the world's ever seen. And you gave Americans a common purpose. And frankly, within 3.5 years, the Japanese Empire was in absolute ruins, right? Even they rejected even their own admirals and stuff who had studied America, said, don't wake them up. Don't wake them up. We can't deal with their resources. We can't deal with their industry, right? I mean, if you think about it, most scholars believe that if we hadn't have been fighting Germany at the same time and prioritized that, Japan would have fell in a 1.5 years, maybe less, because they just could not deal with that, with hundreds of millions of people that had the resources and the industrial complexes that we have here in the States. When everything in America became a war machine, well, what happened? Okay, so just backing off the history lesson a minute, think about what I'm talking about. When you draw people together, we're saying America, we can be so divided, even like right now, things so divided politically, and let us come under attack. And then what happens? All of a sudden, wham, here we come together. What is it? It's common purpose. It's common purpose. And when we are focused on a common purpose, then guys, we can have that togetherness. So if your family feels off, what's your purpose? If your business is off, what's your purpose? Okay, if your marriage is off, what's your purpose? What are the main things? What are you really trying to live for? And then get to live into those things together. And guys, everything else will take care of itself. That's why I tell people so many times, like with your family, don't eat all over the house. Don't sit around watching TV set all over the house, because you need those things to where you're interested in the same things. Grandpa, you want to get closer to your grandkids. What is it they're involved in? What's important to their life? And get involved in it. It may be different than the stuff you're into. Sure, but the thing is, if you can recognize, hey, this is where they're at, and I can meet at that common goal. You following me? What's your purpose? Gather around your purpose. I got one walking up behind me. They are all, I don't care how much, they're like me. I don't care how much you feed them. They're always looking for something else. This girl here, she knows that feeder leaks. so she's about the biggest thing over here. So she's over here looking up everything that fell out of there. Oh, 155. Anyway, does that make sense? I hope it does. If you can get around that common purpose, you can build fellowship, and it's natural, and it doesn't have to be forced. You can't force things. You can't take counterfeit things and make it look like something it's not. But when people are genuinely focused on a common purpose, and if that's an eternal purpose, then of course it has validity to it, because it matters, right? It has an eternal aspect to it. So just think about that quite a bit. If things feel off in any relationship, any dynamic, any mechanism you got going on in life, what's your common purpose? And if you're a leader in it, get on that common purpose, get your personality out of the way, get on that common purpose and start pulling people towards it. Leaders lead. So if you lead towards a common purpose, and people are going to have one, and again, you can't make it fake. You can't say it's one thing and it's about something else. I had spent too many years in public education. I've heard that nonsense. Everybody knows what to say, but it's all a bunch of competing agendas, right? And why? The whole thing's dysfunctional, right? But if we can really get under what we say we're about, then all of a sudden, bam, you got that fellowship. Scared the cows. So anyway, hope you have a good day. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.